giving us your assessment. What were you thinking as you're watching that unfold from the coach's point of view?
Well, I thought the first half was a tough old first half, playing into the wind. Defended well most of the time. Didn't have any territory to play in. It was bloody hard for us actually. And then I think we had about 100 tackles, but we got through. And then turned it around, and then didn't come out after half time. Made some really simple errors at the start in the guys. Lost a bit of confidence in that first 5 minutes in the second half, and good team like the Chiefs just punished us, and the harder we tried, the worse we got. So yeah, that's new territory for us. That's something that we have to look at, when we get home and try and fix it up.
As a captain or co-captain, Hugh, what are you trying to say to the guys to try and get that confidence? Did you feel at the time as that you could feel it dropping? How do you try and get them just back on track and just get the chins up a touch?
Yeah, I think naturally when opposition gets a play over you or a try in those instances, there's a pressure dump. It's just a natural energy drop, and so just trying to get that collective focus come together so we can get on the same page for the next job. Rugby's about getting back to the next moment and trying to execute that. We didn't quite nail that as best we could have tonight.
You talk about territory and position. Again, how do you try and rectify that? You've had a few games now this year where you haven't had the territory and the position advantage. I don't know whether that's how you design it that way, whether you're comfortable with your team, with the way they defend. But I mean, again, is that just a structural thing? Is it an execution thing? Is it a concern at this stage of the season?
Well, I'm just talking about tonight. And tonight, in the first half, it was 69%. But we were playing into the wind, so there was a big win out there, and they did a good job of locking us down in our own half. And so to get into the half time, it was draw or 3 points ahead. That was a pretty good effort, considering we had to do a lot of work to stay there. Disappointing thing for us as a team, which has got nothing to do with territory, is that when we had that advantage, we never maximised that advantage, and in fact we did the opposite. We made unforced errors. We made the unforced errors, and then through that it just sort of unravelled. So
it's the third time this year that you've been kept scoreless in a half. Does that correlate to those things that you've just mentioned again?
Well, it correlates to confidence, and so we've got a young team. It's an average age of 22. There's a lot of new boys that haven't played that level of rugby, and a lot of the guys that have played a lot of rugby are 100%, in terms of their physical well-being. So we don't have a lot of depth, and we've lost a lot of players. And so, when you talk about confidence, really, it's around about a moment. And, Hugh's explained what he would do and how he does it, but he's been in the team for a few years. There's a few guys that not so much like Hugh,
So in terms of where you feel your team is at, even though obviously tonight was a little bit frustrating, do you still feel as though that you're making the advancement, you're watching your team learn, make some of those corrections as you go through this particular season?
When I look at the team tonight, I thought we created a good opportunity in the first half playing into the wind, and then I thought we were poor in the second half. Furthermore, I haven't thought too much further past than that, so it's not a complicated situation with lots of things going on. It's unforced errors, and unforced errors is where players lose their confidence to actually, and then they try too hard. Young guys try and working hard. We don't have a factor where players are throwing the towel in and giving it away. We get kind of the opposite, really, when they're trying too hard, and sometimes that's not necessarily the right thing at the right time. And we're playing the Chiefs. Chiefs are top of the table. I think they've got 45 of them. Crusaders are now top of the table, so they're a classy technique.
Just finally from me, you mentioned about injuries. Did you pick up anything more tonight?
Yeah, we've got a few niggles, but crikey, we have a few niggles every Saturday. So I think that's consistent with most teams. Perhaps we don't have the experience in terms of the depth in our squad, but that's something that we just have to deal with week to week.
Well, then was Ethan? Was that a
game? And there's those sort of things that are really, not upsetting, but he's only All Black, and he rolls his ankle at training on Thursday, and Taniela Talia, did a hammy, and so that unsettles the team because we've trained all week and get ready, and then we lose two of our quality players, and next man up, and that's kind of what you're dealing with. So no, I'm what I'm up with.
competition, eh?
Yeah, well, yeah, Waratah's lost tonight, yeah. She's all on, you know.
What's the diagnosis for Ethan? Was it just a...
No, well, he couldn't walk, so, you know, when you roll an ankle, we thought it would be okay, but, you know, he couldn't run, so we left him at home.
Just looking ahead next week, obviously a massive one.
Yeah.
Southern Derby,
Yeah.
like, it won't be hard to pick yourselves up for that, maybe.
Yeah, well, in terms of motivation, of course, but we're playing a pretty quality side and we're very confident and playing really well, so, no, we'll get home, see who's available, and they're always good games.
Do you get anybody's back for next week?
We hope so, yeah, I haven't checked, you know, since I've been out. Yeah. Sean Woody, Caleb Tangitel, you know, if you go through some of our players, they're there or thereabouts. Not quite sure yet, but they'll be there.
Talk about young squad and things like that. How long do you give that before you need to see success or?
I don't know. You know, some guys come to it, but you know, like I take confidence in a young player like Avidi. My son who's 7 and played pretty much every game this year, and his first year playing, he hasn't played many EPC games. So you get a guy like Tangitel's another one who played particularly well for us, and I play week in, week out with the travelling and the intensity and physicality of the matches is pretty telling on young boys. They're only young guys.
From the character as well. The boys are full of character. Jamie's picked a squad that wants to work hard and has a character to learn and get better. So, yeah, for sure.
Watching Fabian there at one point, he seemed to be battling a bit, and then he was ripping straight back into it. You know,
Yeah.
As a leader, that must just be amazing.
You can do something with that, can't you? You know, so it's all our boys, they're just young and they want to be good tomorrow, and so do I, but they're just learning along the way. It's hard work, you know, getting up every week and doing the job. It's nothing to do with intent and motivation, it's just a competition that we're in, and I think that reflects for all teams really. All teams are feeling a bit of that.
So that's where your experience, like Hugh's experience as well, that's where it's so critical. You finding yourself, you've been doing this a while now, Joe. So it's not your first rodeo, is it? So you must feel very comfortable with how to manage it. And guys like having a guy like Hugh as your leader, and Timothy, even though he's a young co-captain as well. Yeah. That must give you confidence.
Well, I'm pragmatic and realistic around where we are. So I think we've got one All Black. We've got 18, but we've got 18 under 20 players, which have played in the New Zealand under 20s, which means they're pretty good, but they're just not good enough yet, So it just takes a bit of time. And these are some of the lessons they have to learn. Good. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Joe.